Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Imagine getting 160 acres of free land from the government. Sounds incredible, right? Well, that's exactly what the Homestead Act promised to thousands of Americans in the mid-1800s. Signed into law in 1862, the Homestead Act was a groundbreaking piece of legislation that offered settlers a chance to claim and own land in the vast, open West, often for little more than a small filing fee, and the promise to live on and improve the land for 5 years. This act wasn't just about giving away land. It was a powerful tool that shaped the nation's future by encouraging westward expansion, helping millions build new lives, and transforming the American landscape forever. Today, we'll explore how the Homestead Act worked, its impact on settlement and agriculture, and the challenges faced by those who took part in this great migration. In the mid-1800s, America was driven by the powerful belief in manifest destiny, the idea that it was the nation's destiny to expand westward across the continent. Settlers, entrepreneurs, and adventurers were eager to claim new lands and opportunities beyond the Mississippi River, but the path to ownership wasn't easy or straightforward. Before the Homestead Act, land ownership was often complicated and costly. Much of the land was controlled by the government, Native American tribes, or land speculators who bought huge tracts hoping to sell them at a profit. Settlers faced fierce competition, unclear titles, and often had to pay high prices or wait years to legally claim land. On top of that, the frontier was harsh and unforgiving. Those who ventured west had to contend with difficult weather, rugged terrain, limited resources, and often tense or violent encounters with Native American tribes, whose lands were being taken. These challenges made settling the West a daunting and risky endeavor. But for many, the promise of owning their own piece of America was worth every hardship. The Homestead Act of 1862 was a landmark law passed by Congress and signed by President Abraham Lincoln on May 20, 1862, during the height of the Civil War. Its goal was straightforward but revolutionary: to encourage the rapid settlement and development of America's vast western territories by offering land to ordinary people willing to work for it. Under the Act's key provisions, any adult citizen, or anyone intending to become a citizen, who was at least 21 years old or the head of a household could apply. They were eligible to claim 160 acres of public land, essentially free. The catch? They had to live on that land, build a home, and make improvements, such as farming or cultivating the soil, for a continuous period of 5 years. After meeting these requirements, they would receive the official title to the land. This wasn't just a giveaway. It was a promise that if you were willing to put in the hard work and dedication, the land could be yours. The act opened the door for countless families, immigrants, and pioneers to start new lives and build communities across the frontier, shaping the future of the American West. The Homestead Act quickly became a driving force behind westward expansion, as settlers flooded into states and territories across the Great Plains and beyond. From Kansas and Nebraska to the Dakotas and Montana, homesteaders carved farms, towns, and communities out of open prairie and wilderness. Many success stories emerged. Families who arrived with little more than hope and hard work, building homes, planting crops, and turning raw land into thriving farms that sustained generations. The act played a crucial role in transforming the vast Great Plains into America's breadbasket, encouraging the growth of agriculture, railroads, and commerce. It also helped diversify the population as immigrants from Europe and other parts of the world seized the chance to own land and start anew. However, the Homestead Act also had a darker side. Its implementation often came at the expense of Native American tribes, whose ancestral lands were seized and opened to settlers. This accelerated displacement, conflicts, and loss of indigenous cultures across the West. Moreover, many homesteaders faced enormous challenges. Harsh climates with droughts, blizzards, and infertile soil made farming difficult and sometimes impossible. Fraud and land speculation were widespread, as some exploited loopholes or used dummy claimants to grab land unfairly. Legal battles over land claims could drag on for years, draining resources and hope. Despite these difficulties, the Homestead Act fundamentally reshaped America, laying the foundation for the nation's agricultural heartland and inspiring the pioneer spirit that still defines the West today. Amid the vast expanse of the American frontier, countless personal Stories bring the Homestead Act to life, showing the resilience and determination of those who answered its call. Take, for example, Eliza Jane Leslie, a widowed mother who traveled west with her children, braving isolation and harsh winters to establish a farm in Nebraska. Like many settlers, she faced relentless challenges, from brutal weather that could wipe out crops to the loneliness of miles of empty prairie, but her grit helped build a foundation for her family's future. Women played vital roles on the frontier, often managing the household, tending gardens, and supporting farm work, all while enduring physical hardships and social isolation. Immigrants from Germany, Scandinavia, and Eastern Europe brought their farming skills and traditions, enriching the cultural fabric of new communities. African American homesteaders, too, seized the opportunity to claim land, especially during Reconstruction and afterward, carving out spaces where they could live freely and prosper despite widespread discrimination. These homesteaders weren't just isolated farmers, they became the backbone of emerging towns and local economies. They built schools, churches, and markets, forming tight-knit communities that helped each other survive and thrive. Their stories reflect courage, diversity, and the relentless pursuit of the American dream in a challenging and often unforgiving land. The Homestead Act's influence stretched far beyond the immediate settlement of the frontier. It helped shape the American West for generations to come. By opening millions of acres to small farmers, the Act transformed vast, untamed lands into productive agricultural regions. Crops like wheat and corn flourished, fueling local economies and turning places like the Great Plains into the nation's breadbasket. As homesteaders established farms, they also laid the groundwork for towns and infrastructure. Railroads expanded rapidly, connecting remote communities to national markets and encouraging further migration. Schools, churches, and civic institutions sprang up, fostering a sense of community and stability in what had been wilderness. This development helped integrate the West into the broader fabric of the country, making it an essential part of the American economy. However, the environmental impact was significant. Large-scale farming altered the natural landscape, sometimes causing soil depletion, erosion, and changes in local ecosystems. The arrival of settlers also disrupted native flora and fauna, contributing to long-term ecological shifts. Beyond these physical and economic changes, the Homestead Act reinforced core American ideals, particularly the belief in independence, self-reliance, and the right to own land. For many, owning property was more than a livelihood. It was a symbol of freedom and opportunity. The Act helped define the American identity, embedding the dream of land ownership deeply into the nation's culture and history. While the Homestead Act is often celebrated as a symbol of opportunity and expansion, it also sparked significant controversies and criticism. One of the most painful consequences was the widespread dispossession of Native American lands. As settlers claimed homesteads, indigenous peoples were pushed off ancestral territories, leading to violent conflicts, broken treaties, and long-lasting cultural disruption. The Act also became a target for fraud and corruption. Some wealthy speculators exploited loopholes by using dummy applicants to claim large parcels of land illegally, undermining the law's intent to empower ordinary settlers. These scams led to scandals and legal battles, revealing flaws in enforcement and oversight. Moreover, the Act's benefits were not equally shared. Many Native Americans were excluded entirely, as their lands were taken without compensation or citizenship rights. Women, especially unmarried women, faced legal and social barriers to claiming land, and African Americans initially struggled to access homesteading opportunities due to discrimination and systemic obstacles. Historians still debate whether the Homestead Act truly benefited the average American or primarily served speculators and land companies. While millions did succeed in building new lives, others were left struggling or displaced, reminding us that the story of the American frontier was complex, marked by both hope and hardship, opportunity and injustice. The Homestead Act officially remained in effect for over a century, finally being repealed in 1976, though some states continued similar programs into the 1980s. Its long lifespan highlights how deeply it shaped land policy and settlement patterns in the United States. Looking back, the Act teaches us important lessons about government involvement in land distribution, both the potential to encourage growth and opportunity, and the risks of unintended consequences like environmental strain and social displacement. It set a precedent for how public land could be used to promote national goals, influencing later policies on land grants, conservation, and rural development. The Homestead Act's impact wasn't limited to America. Its model inspired land settlement policies in other countries, from Canada to Australia, as governments sought to encourage immigration and agricultural development in frontier regions. Perhaps most enduring is how the idea of free land became woven into the American identity. It fueled the belief that hard work and determination could lead to independence and prosperity, a core part of the nation's story. The dream of owning a piece of the land helped define the American frontier spirit, shaping how generations saw their place in the vast landscape and the possibilities of the future. The Homestead Act was more than just a law. It was a transformative force that reshaped America politically, socially, and economically. By opening millions of acres of land to ordinary people, it accelerated westward expansion, fueled the growth of agriculture, and helped build new communities across the frontier. It changed the way Americans thought about land ownership, independence, and opportunity, leaving a lasting mark on the nation's identity. But the Act's story is complex, filled with both triumph and struggle, highlighting the hopes of settlers as well as the costs to native peoples and the environment. As we reflect on its legacy, we invite you to share your thoughts. What do you think about government land giveaways? Do you have any family stories connected to homesteading? We'd love to hear from you in the comments. If you're interested in learning more about this fascinating era, be sure to check out our upcoming videos on Native American history, the Oregon Trail, and other pivotal moments in westward expansion. The story of America's frontier is full of adventure, and we're just getting started.